Hi, this is Cheryl McQueen, designer with Bello's Designs. This video will be creating a reusable Christmas package tag. I've always felt it was so wasteful that we can only use a holiday tag once after we write who it is to and who it is from on the tag. We will be finishing the back of the tag and learning how to make a card to attach to the back with photo corners, and so that we can make sure that the tag can be used again year after year. So let's go ahead and take a look at the supplies that we're going to be using today. Today I have decided to use a pre-packaged tag. You are welcome to go ahead and make a tag of your own if you like, but this is just a really quick way to do it. You can buy these at most hobby stores. To create the to from tag on the back, I've just taken a piece of cardstock and cut that to be 2 by 3 inches. For the stamps today, we're going to use the Lavinia stamp called Mary, which is LAV 040, and we will be using the Lavinia Christmas Words stamp, and this one is LAV 196. For the back, we're going to finish it off with a stencil, and the stencil that I'm going to use is the Lavinia Laurel stencil, and this one is ST 008. We will be stamping our design using the Nocturne. Forgot to grab that. Let me grab that real quick. Here is what we're going to use to make our actual stamps. Where we use the VersaFine Clear Nocturne. And then we will only be using 2 colors to create this tag. We're going to use the Distress Ink Lumberjack Plaid and Black Soot. We'll be using a blending brush and a small dauber as well. And we will be using a black fine tip ink pen. We'll also be using some water. And I have a very old to from stamp that I'm going to use to create the back of my card's little tag thing. So you can either print it out on your computer and cut your tags if you'd like to, or if you've got a to from stamp, you can use that as well. We will finish off our card with a ribbon at the top of the card, or you can use twine or yarn or anything that you've got that you would like to use to finish off your tag. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get started with our creation. And actually I did leave off one little thing. One thing that we do want to have on hand, and it's very hard to see these on the camera, but these are photo tags. I've got clear little photo corners. This is so that we can remove the tag after it's been used, and then just cut another one the next time we want to use it and insert it into those little corners. You can use the clear, or there are also silver, gold, black, all different kinds of colors that you can use on your tag, just depending upon what you would like to do. Alright, so let's go ahead and start on this, and it's a very fast, fun project, so let's go and see how we come out with this. So I'm going to start out by doing the back of the tag and doing our stenciling on it. The reason I like to do that is because since this is a two-sided tag, we do want to have it look finished and not just be the plain white tag. You can do that if you like to, but I just think it looks a little bit nicer to have a finished edge on it. So what I'm going to do is take just a tiny little piece here of tape, put this down on my tag so that it doesn't wiggle around a whole lot. And then I'm going to take my stencil, lay it down. I also like to put tape on my stencil so that it doesn't move around too much while I'm actually doing the blending of the ink across the stencil. So you can do that by just taping this down or taping it on the edges. And this was usually good enough to keep it from moving around too much. Then we will take our lumberjack plaid, and then we're just basically going to go across the whole surface. And you can do light or dark, whatever you decide that you would like to do. Okay, and then that's basically all that we're going to do on the back side for the moment. So we can remove our stencil and set that aside. And then we will go ahead and flip this over and begin to work. Now I am going to go ahead and clean up my work surface. I like to do that after I have done stenciling or done my blending, so that it doesn't get into places that I don't want it to be. So just a quick little wipe of my surface here. Make sure that we don't get it too messed up. So now we're going to go ahead and take the lumberjack plaid again, and we're going to just cover the entire surface of the top of our tag. Okay, as you can tell, I wanted to do a little bit darker red, so that's why I did a whole lot of blending. You can also see I didn't necessarily try and make it all solid one color. I don't mind having the shadings, the different shadings of the red. I just think that gives it a little bit of interest. Now we're going to go ahead and give it just one final little pop of interest, and with that what we're going to do is we're going to take our water sprayer and we're just going to spritz some water across the top of the surface, just to give a little bit of interest. And we'll let that soak for just one moment, and then we will take a paper towel and just dab up. And this will just kind of give an interesting little look to the background. I'm going to go ahead and dry it just a little bit with my heat tool, just so that we can go ahead and move on. And sometimes when you do that, it actually helps it to the texture to show up a little bit that we did just with our water spraying. As it dries it up, then it makes those spots look really interesting and pop. All right, so there we have our tag. And we can go ahead and move on to doing the stamping. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stamp platform and I'm going to adhere my tag down onto the stamping platform. I use a sticky grid on the back so that I don't have to worry about using any magnets. I just like to be able to move a little bit more freely with that. Now, what I would like to do, from my example you can kind of see, I actually had the words "not be behind Mary and Joseph" here. So what I did was I actually took the stamp, and you can see that how it's shaped. I laid this on a piece of paper and drew around the outside edge with a pencil onto that scrap piece of paper, and then I cut it out. So you can see here, this is one from the first example that I made here, that how it's going to be stamped. So what actually ends up happening is that when I stamp, that's going to be on top of it, and therefore everything on the outside of this piece of paper is going to stamp, and then what's underneath it will leave a space for us to stamp the Mary and Joseph. So let me show you how that's going to go. So we'll take another little piece just of It's a little spare piece I've got of the painter's tape, and I'm just going to put that down and just place that little mask of the shape of the stamp down over the top of my card. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stamp, my Christmas words stamp, and we're going to start at the very top and get that lined up, and then we're going to stamp that on the card, onto this tag. So I'll take that, attach the stamp to the top lid of my platform here, and then we're just going to ink that up. I used my VersaFine Clair Nocturne for that inking. And now we're going to press down and hold it in place to make sure that the ink is absorbed into our tag paper. Make sure we get a nice impression. Okay, that looks pretty good. I may go ahead and even make it just slightly darker. That's the nice thing about having a stamping platform, is that you can always do it a second time and be assured that you're going to get it in the exact same spot. I always like my images nice and crisp and dark, so I don't mind doing a second impression if I need to. All right, so that looks really nice. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take a little scrap piece of paper. Let's see, this one will work, because I don't want to get a bunch of ink on the bottom of my stamping platform here. So now we're going to take this stamp and we're going to place it just so that we can get the rest of our tag covered with the words. So let me get that all nice and lined up. And then we will stamp it up again, ink it up again rather. And do the bottom half of our tag. Okay, so now we've got from the top to the bottom on our tag with our words. So now we can very gently remove the little mask sheet that we made, and you can see where the outline is of the stamp that we're now going to place in that spot. So we put our Mary and Joseph stamp in place on the card, on the tag. Get that lined up. Take off our word stamp, and now we can ink this one up. And again, the reason I like the stamping platform is because, especially with stamps like this that are pretty solid, they don't have the delicate cuts. It sometimes will take an extra layer of the ink in order to make sure that you get a good solid image. So let's do our first impression and see how that one turns out. Alright, that's pretty good. We've got a couple little spots that are a little bit lighter than the other, so I'm going to go ahead and do one more inking of my stamp. All right. So there, now we have finished our inking. So now we can go ahead and go in and put in just the last finishing touches on some of the details. Okay, so the thing that we want to now do is we want to go ahead and ground Joseph and Mary just a little bit. And so what I like to do is take this little fine tip black ink pen and just draw a little bit of ground and some grass sprigs around the bottom of the donkey's feet and underneath Joseph. And the reason I like to do that is it just to me makes it feel like they're not floating around up in the air somewhere. It just kind of gives them just a little bit of grounding. Let me see if I can get this where so it stays in focus where you can kind of see where I've drawn the grass. That's a little bit hard to do sometimes with the autofocus wanting to focus in and out. But so you can just see I've just got a little bit of the grass sprigs down under there. Now for the top, the final thing that we're going to want to do is just give it just a little bit of a frame around the edge. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take our black soot and our dauber, and we're just going to start going around the edge in light little circles to just give a little bit of a frame. To me, this serves two purposes. It kind of helps to finish out the edges and draw the eye in towards the middle of your project. And then it also, if you like that kind of distressed look, it adds a little bit of a touch of that distressed look to it. I just really like the way it looks, and I like the framing. To me, it just feels like that just finishes it all out. Alright, so that's just a quick little circular motions around the edge just to get a little bit of that framing. Okay, and now we're ready to go ahead and work on the back. And so like I said before, we are just going to create a reusable to from tag. Now all I've got right now is this old rubber stamp that's on the wood block. So I hope at some point in time to find some that are on the clear, because I like it a lot better. It's a lot easier to line up. And this one has been so well loved and used over the years that it's not real great of a stamp. But we're going to go ahead and use it anyway. So I'm just going to ink up the stamp and try and put it over here on the left-hand side. Hopefully I got that lined up fairly well. But this gives you the general idea. Now because this stamp is so well loved, it usually has some spots, and I got that a little crooked, but you've got the general idea of what I'm trying to do. I am going to try and just touch up because this stamp is worn out enough that some of the edges aren't real clear. So I think I'm going to look into finding myself a new to from stamp. Anyway, so I just touched that up just a little bit. So once you've created your to from stamp, either from a stamp, or you, like I said, you could print it out on your printer, on your computer and your printer, and use that. So then we're going to take that tag, we're going to flip this over. We're going to take this tag, and I've got my little photo corners here. So I'm just going to pull off a few of those photo corners, slide them onto the corners of my little to from card. And then we'll adhere that to the back of our tag. And there you have that, and that is such a really awesome thing, because I'll write who it's to, who it's from. Next year I can take this, throw this away, I can keep this, cut a new 2" by 3" card, slide it in, and use it again. So not only are we able to save our beautiful artwork and use it over and over again, then we also save the cost and the waste of our resources by using it over again and recycling. And now our final step is to take a little piece of ribbon, and I think I've left my scissors somewhere else, so let me grab those real fast. And we're just going to take that, cut a piece, and I'm basically just going to tie a knot on the top edge. And I'm going to feed it through to create a loop. And there we have our finished card. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video tutorial on how to make the reusable Christmas package tag. This is a great way to be able to use your tags over and over again. Be sure to check out the delbellosdesigns.com website and click on the design team page and look for the other tutorials that are available for you to view. I hope that you have a wonderful day.